here in the first row, and then he gives this amazing piece to us, and we have to make money on this one. But whenever I speak about AI, I'm always going to be talking from the context of how are we implementing this in business. Because AI implementation in business is a little bit like sex in high school. Everyone's talking about it, but no one really knows how to really do it properly. We're going to be talking about semantic analysis in Minerva environment, and Minerva environment is part of our AI solution in our portfolio of products, and the semantic analysis is part of Minerva environment, which I'm going to be talking about. But before I do that, let me quickly tell you a little bit about the company itself, just to show you that we know what we're talking about. Unified Factory is the company which has been already on the market for 14 years. We are in 15 markets, in 15 countries. We have 80 staff, and we are a publicly listed company. I'm responsible for international development, and I will be telling something more about how we try to sell this and implement those type of solutions when we work with our customers. Our portfolio consists of 3 very important modules. We have come up with a phrase that is called customer service automation, not to be confused with marketing automation. And it consists of 3 important pieces: the contact center solutions, omni-channel solutions, managing voice, chats, social media, emails, inbound and outbound, any type of both-way communication with the customers. Of course, on top of that, you have to have a proper CRM solution to manage your leads, manage your contacts, and collect the data about your customers. And once you have the two-way communication and you collect all the data about your customers, then you can think about implementing some AI solutions that will allow you to automate everything and optimize your company. One of our implementation, a customer in e-commerce from Switzerland, if I remember properly, after the implementation of AI solution on top of contact center and CRM solution, allowed for each agent to reply 80% more emails per hour after that particular implementation. Okay, linguistic semantics. What Wikipedia says is basically semantics is the study of meaning of a language. And most importantly, in semantics, we have to understand that there's a difference between the word itself and the word meaning in the context. And I think when we try to talk to teach robots about understanding what pictures are or what words are, it's all about context. Because if we don't teach robots what the context is, this is going to be a guy snowboarding in the air and flying in the air. So our approach to linguistic semantics is divided into 3 stages. Let's say that we have a customer who basically said Jan Kowalski. So the first stage of understanding what he basically said is that we have a knowledge base in which we have defined the first name and the last name. So if guy says Jan Kowalski, then we found Jan as a first name and we found Kowalski in the database of last names. However, if you come up with a name like, my name is Bazyl Mądrzeński, then most probably you're not going to have such a particular name, first name and last name in your database because it doesn't really happen that often. However, we can analyze it from the syntax. If the sentence starts with my name is, then probably after what my name is, that's going to be the first name and the last name. Another situation which brings us to the third stage of linguistic semantics is the context analysis. If the chatbot, for example, asks you a question, what's your name? And you're going to come up with an answer that is not in the knowledge base, then from the context we know that this is basically the name. Well, there was a question from the audience when I was presenting this a couple days ago, and they said, well, what if the chatbot asks the question, what's your name? And someone's going to say, go fuck yourself. Then of course the chatbot's not going to say, how are you doing? Fuck yourself. Because fuck yourself is probably going to be in the knowledge database as a word that we know is not the name, not the first name and not the last name. Let's go deeper into this particular situation. A case from travel sector. We have a sentence, a travel from London to Birmingham. Let's say that we are implementing a solution for an e-commerce, for an online travel agency that is trying to sell tickets online. A guy says, a travel from London to Birmingham. So the travel word will define the context for us. Okay, we're talking about the travel. Once we have the travel, we know that in the second stage, we're going to be looking for attributes. When we have a travel and we want to sell a ticket, we have to know from where is the ticket and where I'm flying to. So we're going to have 2 defined spots, final spot and the starting spot. And of course, we'll be looking in our database of cities if we can find those spots from the sentence. Now, one of the advantages of such an association analysis and approach versus, for example, parsing that is many times used in those type of solutions is that, for example, in case number 3, when we have, okay, case number 1, a trip from A to B. Case number 2, I would like to write from A to B, and sentence number 3, he arrived at B from A. So you see that the order of those spots is actually the other way. In parsing solution, they would confuse those destinations because they would probably assume that this is the final destination, this is the starting point. However, with associations, we can analyze and find out that the order of the spots is the other way. Another example, in travel context. Sentence, for example, again, a chatbot that tries to sell flight tickets. Me and my friends want to catch the bus from London to Glasgow. Step A, we're mapping the database. With the sentence, we're going to find the spots, which means Glasgow and London. And then from the context, we know that there's a right, so there's going to be a trip. So the chatbot now is able to analyze that we're talking about a flight or a trip from London to Glasgow. Going even deeper, there's me and my friends, so probably there's going to be more than one ticket that can be sold. Chatbot then can understand that we're talking about a couple of tickets from London to Glasgow, ask some additional questions, and then probably send the user to the transactional page once all the informations are collected. How is it done? For example, association's approach to this type of cases allows us to be very flexible in the way information is presented by the user. For example, this is actually a case from an insurance sector. A guy, a customer, sent one huge message. Let me just quickly read it for you because the font is pretty small. Hi, I'm from LA, I'm 28. My last car accident was like 3 years ago. It was just a car bump. It was my fault, but no one was hurt. I would like to buy a car insurance, the cheap one. My car, if you need to know, is 12 years old. It's a VW Volkswagen Passat with 2.5 engine. What would be the price for me? In that particular situation, all the type of information that chatbot needs to come up with an insurance price is actually already in this sentence from the user. So the chatbot can actually prepare the price and send it to the customer. However, if customer is not so extrovert and he would start with, hi, I'm from LA, then chatbot can ask additional questions and it's going to take as much time as it's needed to collect all the necessary data. Now, another advantage between this and those so-called decision trees with chatbots, for example, prepared from Facebook, is that if, for example, at this stage, when the guy told you what's his age, and then he told you what's the car, and then he told you how many accidents he had, and then at the end of the whole conversation with the chatbot, he just realized, oh, wait a second, I'm gonna have my birthday tomorrow, so tomorrow I'm gonna be older. So probably now the price of the insurance will be different. In a classic decision tree, the chatbot has to go back and start the whole process all over again. Here, we can just change that one piece of information, and then based on this, automatically modify all the other results. So that saves time, and the customer isn't frustrated that he has to answer all those questions again. How is it done? In that particular situation, when we're talking about insurance, for example, there are 5 different classifications of information that we have to collect in order to prepare an insurance price. There's the client details, client history, risk analysis, information about the car, and client needs. And based from the context and the syntax that each of the part of the information will be probably presented in a specific way in a sentence, because when we use natural language, specific type of information is always attributed with a specific words. The system can now find out and extract those particular type of information from the one huge sentence. Now, how do we really do it in business? For example, email automation. Most basic AI solution is a situation when imagine that there's an agent sitting in a contact center that gets 100 emails per hour. So imagine that the moment a contact center agent gets an email, the moment he opens that email, the robot is already preparing the answer to that particular case, because he knows that there's been so many cases very similar to it, and he knows how to answer. The agent can then verify what the robot has already prepared, if he doesn't trust the robot yet, and just send the message or modify it if he has such a need. So again, there was a message from a customer. Hello. Okay, this is actually in Polish. Can I quote this in Polish? Or this is everything in English? Tomek? Can I? Okay. Witam, nie mam prądu, proszę o usunięcie awarii. This is the most relevant part of the information, of the email. Then we have a footnote of the email, which is obviously not important for the robot, so we ignore this. Based on this, we prepare an answer. Szanowne panie, witamy w Energii, bardzo dziękujemy za kontakt z nami, etc., etc. Basically, the answer is already prepared. It looks very simple because, of course, the magic happens in the background. We can also use that automation when you talk about chat. It works the same way. However, we don't reply to an email. We reply real time to customer query. The client says, yesterday, that's, for example, a chatbot for a bank. Web client says, yesterday someone stole my credit card. I want to block it. So the agent that is sitting on the chat service already has prepared from the robot a couple of alternative answers that it can immediately reply to the customer. It's not only about preparing an answer to that particular customer. For example, I want to block my card, so you reply, okay, you have to do this and that and that. If the customer was identified by the system before, because, for example, he put his account number or his customer number, etc., etc., the bot can also already reply with a specific information that's relevant for that particular customer, because it can extract it from the database. And the next stage, the last stage, most sophisticated stage of technology adoption by our customers is when they trust the robot so much that they don't need to have that manual confirmation, human confirmation for every reply that the robot is preparing. So basically, that's the whole automated chatbot. That's, for example, a chatbot we've prepared for a cinema. The guy was talking to a consultant. He thinks he's a human, but it's a robot. Podaj nazwę miasta, to poszukam dla ciebie informacji, na co możesz pójść do kina. Chciałbym pójść w Warszawie na pojutrze na komedię w Arkadii. Not all the information are still collected, so the chatbot asks additional questions. Czy chodzi o ten film? Is it about that particular movie? If yes, please confirm its name. And then if once all the information about that particular movie, the time, the date, location, name of the movie are confirmed, chatbot can send the customer to the checkout page where he can finish the transaction. Now we're talking about transactional bots. And this can be done in an automated way. Well, you can say, isn't Siri doing this? Isn't Apple and Home solutions that just came out are doing this? Well, basically, when we prepare chatbots, they're so focused on that particular sector, on that particular part of transaction, for example, only cinema tickets or only flight tickets, that there's so many things we have to take into account. We will always be able to be better than Siri that has to take care of 100,000 of issues that a customer can come up with when he asks Siri about something. Like, for example, Siri, will you marry me? Another implementation that we can do, thanks to that association, is so-called, smart search results, semantic search for advanced knowledge base, or frequently asked questions. How it works? Basically similar to what Google does. When we ask a question in the search engine of a website, for example, how do I check the status of my payment? The results we're showing are not the results that basically consist of those words. The results that are showing answers to the question that we have asked. Another case, very classic approach, let's say that you go to a website of an e-commerce, of a grocery store, and you are looking for a carrot juice for children. In the most basic way, if you search carrot juice for children, you're gonna see all the results that have carrot name, you're gonna see all the results that juice, with juice name, and you're gonna see all the results with children name. So we're not only gonna see carrot juice for children, you're gonna see so many other results. Now, this isn't so easy, important and applicable in English. However, in Polish, it's very important. Imagine sok marchwiowy dla dzieci, sok z marchwi dla dzieci, sok z marchewką dla dzieci, etc., etc. Every language has its own nuances, and that's where those smart search results are really important to show those search results which are really relevant for the customer. How it then is applied in business, the easier it is for you to find the product that you're looking for, the faster it is. Of course, the conversion goes up. Now, where are we currently? In 2016, 60% of all the businesses already automate customer interactions. That doesn't mean that the customers really want it or are using it, but the businesses are already automating it. In 2020, 85% of customers will contact service provider directly without human interaction. These are numbers from US markets. We have the research data from Frost & Sullivan and Gartner Research in USA. 2017, 65% of customer service related process can be fully automated. And that's the next wave where AI is really needed, because we already have the situation when we collect all the data, because companies and enterprises are using CRM solutions, they are using contact center solutions. We collect all the data, and now it allows us to teach our AI how to really prepare answers and automate processes when we manage customer service for our customers. And I guess that will be it. Thank you for your attention, and if you guys have any additional questions, there's the CEO of Unify company here, there's the co-author of the solutions here, and we'll be happy to talk to you more after the presentation part is done. Thank you very much.